We are discussing the Nectar of Instruction. Last class we finished text number 3. Text number 3 talked about what?
How devotional service.
6 items.
6 items to increase devotional service.
6 items that enhance devotional service. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartana, Sangat Tyagat Sato Vritte, Sadhir Bhakti Siddhyati. So the 6 items were, first one was enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is important to improve our quality of our devotional life. Enthusiasm comes by regular hearing. Otherwise we cannot get enthusiasm. Regular hearing. Then Nishchayat Dhairyat. Nishchayat means confident. Confident of what?
That the process is the right process and will give us the.
So confidence
In the law.
that this process will work. Okay? And then faith. Confidence comes from, we are fully confident that the process of Bhakti Yoga will take us back to Godhead. Simply by following the principles that are given by Srila Prabhupada, following 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds, that we will go back to the spiritual world. If we do only that much, by avoiding all the offenses. Just by doing that, we can go back to Godhead. Dhairyat, patience. Though we are doing this process, then not to expect immediate results out of the process. Right? And continue doing the process despite all odds that life may give us. We saw that. Then Tat Karma, which means what? Various activities which are favorable for devotional service. Pravartana means by performing. So we perform all those activities which are favorable for Bhakti. Anukulyasya Sankalpa. So we practically follow that.
What was that?
Tat Karma Pravartana. Verse mein hai. Textbook. You can open Nectar of Instruction. Sangat Tyagat. Sangat Tyagat means giving up association of non-devotees. Satah Vritte means what? Following in the footsteps of Acharyas. Satah means saintly personalities, previous Acharyas. Following in the footsteps of saintly Acharyas. Shadhir Bhaktir Prasiddhyati. By doing all these things, our Bhakti becomes enhanced. But this requires regular hearing. Hearing is most important. Just like yesterday, I was watching this Dandavats.com. And on Dandavats.com, there was this video on Vada farm. It was simply out of this world. Anyone saw that? Bhakti Charu Maharaj, Bibi Govind Maharaj, Devamrit Swami, all of them have commented how they have created Vrindavan. You have been to Vada this time? You went? You didn't go. So they have recreated Vrindavan. Madan Mohan temple, everything has been created. Everything is in Vrindavan is recreated there. So all the Maharajas are giving their, are glorifying that project. So simply by seeing that project, simply by seeing the, and Gaurang Prabhu is the director. He is the brain behind the whole project, behind the whole eco-village. So we can't even imagine the kind of work that must have gone into building that eco-village, and that too in such a short span of time. It is just inconceivable that something like that can come up. When we see it, we'll realize it eventually. So by seeing such videos, there are 2 things that happen. One is we get inspired the way these devotees are serving their spiritual master, then we should serve at least some fraction of that, our spiritual master. So we get that inspiration. Also, we get admiration for these devotees. Not only inspiration, but we start admiring these devotees. How great these devotees are. They have done something which is really next to impossible in such a short span of time. So all the Maharajas are glorifying, saying that when we go to Vrindavan, we can see these things, but Vrindavan, obviously, Vrindavan is not the old Vrindavan anymore. So this Vrindavan which they have recreated is pretty much like the old Vrindavan, very pristine, without all the noise pollution out, garbage out, people harassing you for donations out, no monkeys harassing, nothing. Just peacefully sit there and meditate. It's a big, huge eco-village, like that. And everything is very naturally produced. There, nothing is artificial. Everything, it's a sustainability project of ISKCON. And it has got an award also, national award. It has got many awards.
Just now it got International Green Apple Award.
International Green Award. So please have a look at that video. Okay. All you have to do is to type Govardhan Eco Village in Google. You can see. So I am just saying this because when you see such devotees, how they are enthusiastically serving their spiritual master, and the excellent teamwork that is going beyond it, we all get inspired to do something. We also feel very insignificant. It's good to feel insignificant. Otherwise we think we are doing too many things. But when we see these things, then we get very inspired. Okay, so we'll go to text 4, a very important verse of the Nectar of Instruction. Dadati pratigrhanati guhyam akhyati prachati bhukte bhojayate chaiva sad vidam Translation: offering gifts in charity. What is offering gifts in charity? That is dadati. Accepting charitable gifts. That is pratigranati. Then revealing one's mind in confidence to someone else. That is called as an inquiring confidentially. Guhyam, akhyati and prachati. Bhukte, which means what? Accepting prasadam, and bhojayate, which means offering prasadam. Bhukte bhojayate chaiva sad vidham priti lakshanam. These are the 6 symptoms of love which is shared by one devotee and another devotee. It's a very beautiful verse. So we will read the purport. Big purport as usual. Try and finish this verse today.
In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how to perform devotional activities in the association of other devotees. There are 6 kinds of activities: giving charity to the devotees, accepting from the devotees whatever they may offer in return, opening one's mind to the devotees, inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord, honoring prasad or spiritual food given by the devotees, and feeding the devotees with prasad. An experienced devotee explains, and inexperienced devotee learns from him. This is Guyam Akhyati Prichati. When a devotee distributes prasad, remnants of food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasad as the Lord's grace received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees in our home, offer them prasad, and be prepared to please them in all respects. This is called Bhunte Bhojayate Chaiva. Even in ordinary social activities, these 6 types of dealings between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. For instance, when one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, he arranges a feast in a hotel, and over the feast openly expresses what he wishes to do. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act, and sometimes presents are exchanged. Thus, whenever there is dealing of preeti or love, in intimate dealings, these 6 activities are executed. In the previous verse, Srila Prabhupada Goswami advised that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. Sangatyagat Sato Vrataha. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 kinds of loving exchanges between the devotees. The society was started single-handedly, but because people are coming forward and dealing with the give and take policy, the society is now expanding all over the world. We are glad the people are donating very liberally and liberally to the development of the society's activities. And people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contribution we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines dealing strictly with the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. We sometimes hold Hare Krishna festivals and invite life members and friends to participate in the feasting by accepting prasad. Although most of our members come from the higher range of family, they nevertheless come and take whatever little prasad we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the methods of performing devotional service, and we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world, and the intelligentsia of all countries is gradually appreciating our Krishna conscious activities. The life of Krishna conscious society is nourished by these 6 steps of loving exchanges among the members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with the devotees of ISKCON, because simply by reciprocating in the 6 ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 2.62, it is stated that Sangat Sanjayate Kama. One's desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. It is often said that a man is known by the company, and if an ordinary man keeps associated with the devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is innate in every living entity, and it is already developed to some extent when the living entity takes a human body. It is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabhu Nai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karay Uday. Pure love or Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the living entity naturally awakens. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam, one's heart is directly purified, and one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened. Krishna consciousness is not artificially imposed upon the heart. It is already there. When one chants the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the heart is cleansed of all mundane contamination.
Thank you, Mother. So we'll have someone else read. Right? You'll get tired of that.
In the first stanza of his Sri Shikshastaka, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says,
Cheto Darpana Marjanam Mahadavarni Nirvapanam Jaya Kairava Chatrika Karanam Vidya Jivanam Anandam Jivanam Nadipada Purna Mita Svalanam Sarvatma Sakram Paramajayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
all glories to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Not only is the chanter of the Mahamantra purified, but the heart of anyone who happens to hear the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, is also cleansed. Even the souls embodied in lower animals, insects, trees and other species of life also become purified and prepared to become fully Krishna conscious simply by hearing the transcendental vibration. This was explained by Thakur Haridasa when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him how living entities lower than human beings can be delivered from material bondage. Haridasa Thakur said that the chanting of the holy names is so powerful that even if one chants in the remotest parts of the jungle, the trees and animals will advance in Krishna consciousness simply by hearing the vibration. This was actually proved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself when he passed through the forest of Jharkhanda At that time, the tigers, snakes, deer, and all other animals abandoned their natural animosity and began chanting and dancing in Sankirtana. Of course, we cannot imitate the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but we should follow in his footsteps. We are not powerful enough to enchant the lower animals such as tigers, snakes, cats, and dogs, or entice them to dance. But by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can actually convert many people throughout the world to Krishna consciousness. Contributing or distributing the holy name of the Lord is a sublime example of contributing or giving charity, the Dadati principle. By the same token, one must also follow the Pratignati principle and be willing and ready to receive the transcendental gift. One should inquire about the Krishna consciousness movement and open his mind in order to understand the situation of this material world. Thus the Guhyam, Akhyati, Prachati principles can be served. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness invite the society's members and supporters to dine with them when they hold love feasts in all their branches every Sunday. Many interested people come to honor prasadam, and whenever possible, they invite members of the society to their homes and feed them sumptuously with prasadam. In this way, both the members of the society and the general public are benefited. People should give up the company of so-called yogis, jnanis, karmis, and philanthropists because their association can benefit no one. If one really wants to attain the goal of human life, he should associate with devotees of the Krishna Consciousness movement, because it is the only movement that teaches one how to develop love of God. Religion is the special function of human society, and it constitutes the distinction between human society and animal society. Animal society has no church, mosque, or religious system. In all parts of the world, however, downtrodden human society may be, there is some system of religion. Even tribal aborigines in the jungle also have a system of religion. When a religious system develops and turns into love of God, it is successful. As stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. If the members of human society actually want peace of mind, tranquility, and friendly relations between nations, they must follow the Krishna conscious system of religion, by which they can develop their dormant love for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as people do so, their minds will immediately be filled with peace and tranquility. In this regard, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur warns all devotees engaged in broadcasting the Krishna consciousness movement not to speak to the impersonalists or Mayavadis who are always determined to oppose such theistic movements. The world is full of Mayavadis and atheists, and the political parties of the world take advantage of Mayavada and other atheistic philosophies to promote materialism. Sometimes they even back a strong party to oppose the Krishna consciousness movement. The Mayavadis and the other atheists do not want the Krishna consciousness movement to develop because it educates people in God consciousness. Such is the policy of the atheists. There is no benefit in feeding a snake milk and bananas because the snake will never be satisfied. On the contrary, by taking milk and bananas, the snake simply becomes more poisonous. Kevalam Vishavardhanam. If a snake is given milk to drink, its poison simply increases. For a similar reason, we should not disclose our minds to the serpent Mayavadis and Karmis. Such disclosures will never help. It is best to completely avoid associating with them and never ask them about anything confidential because they cannot give good advice. Nor should we extend invitations to Mayavadis and atheists or accept their invitations, for by such intimate intermingling we may become affected by their atheistic mentality. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. It is the negative injunction of this verse that we should refrain from giving anything to or accepting anything from the Mayavadis and atheists. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also warned, Vishara Anna Kaile Tustahai Mana. When one eats food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes wicked. Unless one is very advanced, he is unable to utilize everyone's contribution to further the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, on principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has forbidden devotees to associate even with ordinary men who are too addicted to material sense gratification. The conclusion is that we should always keep company with devotees observe the regulative devotional principles, follow in the footsteps of the Acharyas, and in full obedience carry out the orders of the spiritual master. In this way, we shall be able to develop our devotional service and dormant Krishna consciousness. The devotee who is neither a neophyte nor a Mahabhagavata, a greatly advanced devotee, but is within the middle status of devotional service, is expected to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friends with the devotees, show favor to the ignorant, and reject the jealous and demoniac. In this verse, there is brief mention of the process of making loving transactions with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and making friends with the devotees. According to the Dadati principle, an advanced devotee is supposed to spend at least 50% of his income on the service of the Lord and his devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami has set such an example in his life. When he decided to retire, he distributed 50% of his life's earnings to Krishna's service and 25% to his relatives and kept 25% for personal emergencies. This example should be followed by all devotees. Whatever one's income, 50% should be spent on behalf of Krishna and his devotees, and this will fulfill the demands of Dadati. In the next verse, Srila Rupa Goswami informs us what kind of Vaishnava should be selected as a friend and how Vaishnavas should be served.
So we are ensuring by this that we are doing this work. So what are the points? There are so many aspects here, so we will have a discussion. Yeah. So let's talk about Dadati. What is Dadati? Okay, before that, so this is text number 4. So if you remember, what is the theme of Nectar of Instruction? So the first 3 verses talked about how to increase Shraddha. Now we are talking about Sadhu Sangha. 4, 5 and 6 talk about Sadhu Sangha, the next stage. So Sadhu Sangha means relationships with the sadhus. So these verses are all about relationships. This talks about loving exchange. Next verse talks about how to distinguish between Uttama, Madhyama and Kanishta and how to deal. So everything is about dealings with devotees. So first is the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. The first one is Dadati, offering gifts in charity. You have a question?
Yeah, but when we read Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada has actually given more stress on preaching. For example, having Sunday feasts, inviting the newcomers and all that. So he has actually 75% of the Prabhupada is more on preaching to new people.
Why do devotees develop relationships with everyone?
So that they can bring Krishna consciousness.
Ultimately it will come to that. Otherwise why, we are not extroverts or socialites. We just hang around with everyone and increase our social circles. So the whole idea why we develop relationship with devotees is ultimately to assist them or help them come closer to Krishna.
But that's what I'm saying, that it's not necessarily making relationship with devotees, it's actually trying to build up relationship with people who are non-devotees. That's what he's stressing, I thought.
Yes, in one sense, yes. Prabhupada is stressing that. But we have to understand that there are a lot of devotees who have commented on these verses.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Prabhupada has written this at a particular, based on a time, place and circumstance. He was establishing ISKCON and Prabhupada has written this purport. But if you read the commentaries of devotees who have lectured on this particular work, you will find that this is equally applicable to also devotees who are in the movement. This talks about mainly about recruiting, right? But there are
The purport is talking about.
the purport is talking about recruiting. The largely Prabhupada's focus is that on how Prabhupada institutionalized ISKCON and how what was Prabhupada's strategy of reaching out to the people. Prabhupada's strategy was what? Develop relationships with people. Otherwise you will see there is one channel, in India, I forgot the name of the channel, where so many people will come with big beards.
Sanskar.
Sanskar, Asta, all these channels. you know. So, Are Murkho! You know, he'll talk like that. So many people will give all this, you know, from big pandal, and people are all, you know, watching like this, you know. So that's all preaching is about. But Prabhupada did not do any of that sort. Prabhupada did pandal program, but Prabhupada's style of preaching was reaching out very personally to the people, not sitting, you know, and only giving, you know, lectures. So Prabhupada was he gave us a culture of being very personal, developing very personal relationships with people. And Prabhupada himself did that. Prabhupada, how did he attract the hippies? He used to actually prepare gulab jamuns and keep it, you know, in a jar outside. Thankfully, people like me were not there.
They would have taken the jar.
You take the jar only. Or maybe, you know, we should have been there. We could have had that gulab jamun made by Prabhupada. We would have gone back to Godhead by now. But Prabhupada used to keep that. So that is Prabhupada led by example in the Dadati principle, in giving. Not Dadati or whatever, you can say, whichever way you can say. Prabhupada's Dadati was in his books also. But the principle of, you know, developing relationships with devotees is very important. So, Prabhupada is here talking about, you know, different ways and means by which devotees can be attracted towards the movement through the medium of prasadam distribution. Like Prabhupada is giving the example of business. When two businessmen have to transact something, they'll say, okay, let us meet in a hotel. So, many times to transact these things, then even businessmen, they will, depending upon what level of businessman also, then they will post in different type of hotel. So the idea is not to eat that food. The idea is to connect on a common platform and to exchange something very personal. Because food, when it is given, that is very personal exchange. So, here, what is the coffee culture in office? What is so special about coffee? But everyone says, let's go for coffee. When you go for coffee with someone, you become his mate. Yeah. That's where you transact. So Prabhupada used that same principle in Krishna Consciousness to bring people in the process of prasadam distribution. In fact, if you see, Juhu temple in Bombay and Chowpatty temple are both are ISKCON temples. But Juhu temple, the whole idea was what? To attract the glitterati of Bombay. People like, you know, Eva Malini, Amitabh Bachchan, these are the people, Prabhupada really had that vision that we want top class, like that. Both are top class temples, okay? But specifically the idea of Juhu was to attract the masses. That's why if you go to Juhu temple, you will find that Govindas is, very opulent, extremely opulent. The way they serve prasadam, it's almost like 5-star experience you will have, like that. And then when you come outside also, there are a host of stalls. It's all about food, largely, if you go to Juhu temple. And even the temple is also built very opulently. And it's also positioned in the most opulent suburb, Juhu, in Bombay, where film stars live. Like that. So Prabhupada had a very clear strategy to reach out to different segments of society and how to connect with them. But the basic idea is whether you are recruiting, whether you are training, whether you are retaining, or whether you are sustaining, everything is centered around relationship. If we lose relationships with the people who we are cultivating, if they are fortunate, then they will go to someone else and still get cultivated. But sometimes people can get put off and they will go away. We will lose them forever by our own behavior. There has to be loving exchanges between devotees. So Prabhupada is emphasizing. So what are the loving exchanges? Dadati, prati, granati. Now, many times, dadati we are very good, but we are not good in prati, granati. Prati, granati is very important. Accepting services from devotees is a sign of accepting affection of devotees is a sign of our humility also. ऐसा नहीं कि I am born to serve everyone. मैं किसी का service नहीं लूँगा. That is arrogance. That is arrogance. Okay. So let's be humble. अभी प्यार से दे रहे हैं तो accept करो यार. क्या problem है? Give love whenever you can and take love whenever other devotees want to give. Then it is a very natural environment. And we are not trying to project ourselves as some dharmatma who is only born to give everyone and who will never accept anything from everyone. So when we are normal, then everything is normal. Right? So Both are important. That's why Rupa Goswami himself is saying he should learn the art of also accepting services. Dadati pratigranati. Guhyam akhyati pruchati. Opening out to our minds to a devotee who we trust. This is very important. Otherwise, we may have lot of struggles in Krishna consciousness, and nobody will know about our struggles till we fall down, like that. So we have to have relationships with devotees. Unless we have relationships with devotees, then only by a gradual passage of time will we develop trust in other devotees. When we start trusting other devotees, then we will open up our personal issues to them or personal challenges to them, seek advice, and then act accordingly. So this is very important. And also, Guhyam Akhyati Prachati. Also, we should not only reveal our hearts, but we should also conduct in ourselves in such a way that other people are encouraged to reveal their hearts to us. So, dono bhi, we reveal as well as help others to reveal their hearts to us. That is also a good service of helping others to reveal their hearts to us and sharing our experience with those devotees. And if when other devotees are opening out their hearts to us and telling us something, okay, now let us just spend 2-3 minutes on discussing this, because after Bhakti Sastri program, either you will become teachers, and many of you are already in preaching. So when others are opening out their hearts, what if you can solve the problem, very good. What if you can't solve the problem?
You have to take guidance, but then how do you maintain the secrecy of the issue as well? That could become an issue.
Correct. So then we have to ask permission of the devotee, saying that, look, I want to help you, but your situation is beyond my realm of experience. Therefore, are you comfortable? I know of one devotee who is very trustworthy. You may not trust him, but since you trust me, therefore, are you happy for me to bring that devotee into this loop? Because he has got the right experience to be able to give direction to your issue. And if the devotee says, then you bring the devotee. So like that. But what we should not do is, we cannot solve the problem, and we are too egoistic to admit that the issue is beyond me, because we think that the other devotee will think, "Ye kya hai? Main to socha tha ye bada counselor hai. Isko to ye problem solve hi nahi karta. He is also going to someone." And we think like that. That is our false ego then. Okay. So we have to be humble when to exit a particular issue. Does it make sense? Yes. It is beyond our capabilities, and exit and seek higher. It is simple. This principle very nicely works in information technology. When there is an incident, level 1 support is called. When level 1 support cannot handle, they will not say, "मैं solve करके ही रहूँगा अभी." Immediately it goes to level 2 support. If level 2 support cannot solve, then it goes to level 3 support. And then if level 3 support doesn't solve, then it goes to the product vendor, which is called a level 4 support. Right? So same principle here also. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. अपने पास issue आएगा, if we can solve, very good. If we can't, escalate. With obviously permission of these devotees. So not to fall with the idea that I will only be the problem solver of everyone. By that we are trying to become very popular then. That's all. That shows our own deep desires for respect and recognition. So you have to be humble enough. ये मेरे दायरे में नहीं है, but I can get you help from somewhere. It's like that. Okay. So dadati pratigranati guhyam akhyati pruchhati. And then bhukte bhojayate chaiva. This is what I am doing right now. I am doing bhojayate. I am not doing. I don't know what am I doing. Bhukte. Bhukte. Which is eating other people's food. Bhukte means inviting people, na? Huh? Inviting. So, bhukte bhojayate chaiva.
Bhukte only, right?
Huh?
Bhojayate means you invite people and you...
I invite people.
Yeah.
So, I am bhukte right now. Not bhokte.
That we can't comment. No comments on that.
Yeah. Therefore, accepting prasadam and giving prasadam. Of course, if I give prasadam, loving exchange will stop at that point in time. I give anyone prasadam. Yeah, so Bhukte Bhojayate Chaiva is inviting devotees over for prasadam and going to other people's houses for whatever. So both is very important. Of course, we have to, everything has got a Prabhu Sadvida Preeti Lakshanam. All Monday इनके घर पे, Tuesday उधर, Thursday इधर. That is not that. Okay. The context has to be very clear. Because there is a specific context in which all these things are mentioning. This is for improving the relationships between devotees. So when a devotee calls and we go, they also feel honored. That मैंने बुलाया, उन्होंने मान रखा, we say like that. Okay. And then sometimes devotees are more pleased rather than we calling them that we went when they called. Does it make sense? Many times devotees are pleased with that. So we have to really understand. So that is important for an ongoing relationship. That we go, honor. Of course, some people don't call only. It's a different thing. But still we will go.
Don't come after calling also.
Okay. So Prabhupada is saying that it is important to invite devotees and to also to go to other people's houses.
I've got one question. If a devotee has got a attitude of just inviting devotees and serving them, feeding them, rather doing any other part of the 6 things which are mentioned, is it right attitude or approach? Or?
It is good only. It is good. It's a good attitude to always see. There are two. It's a question of which attitude is playing on the mind. If we are thinking, I am a servant of the servant of the servant, therefore I cannot accept any service from everyone, which is like the Ghansham Baba, in Radhanath Maharaj's journey home. If you read that example, if we are in that mood, it is fine. But if we are thinking that, who can serve me? I am the greater servant. Then we have a problem. Does it make sense? It is a question of our consciousness. What we are thinking. When other person is serving us, what are we thinking? We are thinking that if we are doing it from a point of view as I will not accept any service from you, but I will only serve you. Then the other person also may feel hurt at some point in time. If suppose I want to serve you and you keep, because see, the need of every person is what? To give and receive love. This is the need of every human being. So we should allow also people to give love, because that is their need sometimes. It may not be our need to receive love, but it is their need to give love. So whether we need that or not, we still accept. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know whether I am communicating.
Yes, partly, but yeah, I'll take this.
Sometimes, whether we need or not sometimes, then we still accept. It's just like, for example, in our birthday, somebody will give us a pen. Now we may have 10,000 pens. But still we take the pen and say, "Arey, kya first class pen? This is exactly you gave me what I need." We still tell that. Why? That is just a way of respecting that particular gift and making that person very special. Or if you say, or at least thanking them from the bottom of the heart for the affection that they are showing, regardless of whether you needed that item at that point in time or not.
Understood.
So, and making them amply clear that, look, I really value your affection. That is there. We may not need that object which they gave us immediately. We may not need that. But the fact that they showed affection, then by accepting that and letting them know that, look, I really value your thing, that's good enough for most people.
One of the Bhagavatam perspective, the Prabhu giving class long time ago. So he was just touching in between the aspect of Guhyam or Kyajabalaki. So he said that Guhyam means again not secret, or what you have problem in your life, what my problem, not just Guhyam. He said Rajavidya Rajaguhyam is the instruction on Krishna Katha. So there should be main focus is on discussing the Krishna Katha, which is Rajaguhyam.
Very good, yeah. So relationships are best developed when devotees sit together and do study groups, study of Srila Prabhupada's books. So that is also Guhyam Akhyati Prachati. So that we should not forget those core things. Okay, it's not just bhukte bhojayate chaiva and then discussing everything else.
Now you are answering my question.
Now I am answering your question. You should thank Janai too. He brought it to the point. Okay, because sometimes I assume that these things are known. Okay, so these are the basic things. Okay, so the relationships are develop very close. Bonding develops very much seriously when we study Srila Prabhupada's books together. That is why in this program also we established the Bhakti circles, the study circles. Okay, I don't know whether they are still operating or they are not operating. Where has he gone? I don't know whether they are operating or they are not operating. But so as long as they operate, you will find that the relationship between devotees is very good when you sit and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam together in one room. It really improves. So that is that. What is that? Guhyam. To discuss the confidential knowledge given by Krishna, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. So discuss that knowledge. So in short, without relationships with devotees, we cannot progress in spiritual life. As one of my godbrothers says, at the end of the day, all we have is each other. We always remember that. So without each other's cooperation and support, then we cannot go back to Godhead. So relationship with devotee should be given paramount importance. Sadhana and relationship with devotees. And we should be very careful not to lose any relationships because of some temporary situation in our life. Because to build a relationship takes years, but to cut a relationship takes moments. That's all. So we'll be very careful. So Rupa Goswami is telling us that this is how this is the real understanding of sadhu sangha. This is the first verse on sadhu sangha. We will see more on classification of devotees into Uttama, Madhyama and Kanishta, Adhikari in the next verse, and how the nature of relationships will differ based on who we are dealing with and what activities we do with different levels of devotees in that relationship. Srila Prabhupada.